guys, it's Hith from Bindaas Bollywood. We have a super fabulous guest to speak to you guys and to me. I'm the lucky one, I get to speak to him, but you guys get to listen. Please welcome Roshan, also known as Desi Boy, who has frozen. No, you're not frozen anymore.
I'm back. Hi, I'm so sorry. My internet is shocking. I don't know if it's yours or mine, but anyway.
But no, I was just saying before off screen, I love your background. It's beautiful. I didn't even know how to do that. He just gave me a crash course. So next time you guys see me, I'll have a pretty background.
Yeah.
But welcome. Thank you so much for taking the time, especially on an evening in the middle of the week.
No, I'm so grateful. Thank you so much for reaching out. And I was literally like helping my mum clean the kitchen. So I'm literally like an auntie for real. Like I love cooking. I love cleaning. I just love anything kitchen related. Washing dishes is really therapeutic for me. So I always help her in the kitchen.
It is so therapeutic, isn't it? I find sometimes when I'm really need to release and I can't dance for some reason, I just have to clean. And
Yes.
it's one of those things. It is definitely a release. So, but no, it's good you got it done.
Yeah, exactly.
But I've got so many questions for you, so I didn't really know where to start. But I was going to say you're absolutely huge on social media, just in terms of your makeup and your social activism, everything. But I was just going to ask you, like, are there any particular topics that you personally think like society needs to be more educated on or needs to address? Because so many things have popped up during quarantine, even before and I'm sure after, but what are you passionate about and what do you think society needs to focus on?
I think just specifically like, in Australia, I think we just need to have more brands and that are more inclusive. I think just in terms of just representation, I mean, I find that there isn't as a big enough fight like there is in America for POCs fighting for representation, whether that's TV, media, the beauty industry. There are pockets of it, but it's not on this grand scale. I mean, if you switch on Australian television, it's a bunch of white people on a panel talking about everything else other than representation. And I just think we need more opportunity. At the same time, we also need our South Asian people to come up on the board and be like, well, I want to be represented, it's our fight just as much as it is of these big corporate companies and industries to want us. We have to also want to be a part of it. So yeah, in terms, I think just representation, I think we need to have that discussion more, especially when it comes to Native Australians and Indigenous people of Australia. Their voices need to be heard more of. So I think that's a conversation that should be spoken more about, I think.
100% agree. Oh my gosh, I completely agree. But you were completely right. Like, people need to take a stand as well. And like, the more conversation there is, the more it gets addressed. So I really think that sometimes people are waiting for others, but they're more than happy to hit like on a post or share it. But when it comes to actually doing it themselves, they're a little bit restricted. So it's so important people definitely just speak up about what's important to them. One of my best friends actually runs, I'm not sure if you've heard of Global Indigenous Runway. So she runs that, and it's just focused on Indigenous designers, makeup artists, and it's just such an amazing thing. And it's kicked off like globally. And she's originally a Kiwi as well, but I think I've seen her start it and the process, and it's so difficult because it's just, you don't get a lot of representation and funding and support. It's just fucking not there. It's not there. It needs to be addressed so much more. But
that's not true. Can I actually ask, what's your background? Are you Kiwi yourself? Are you Desi? What's your background?
I am Sri Lankan, but I speak Hindi because, I learned for dancing, and also hubby's Indian, but I am Sri Lankan. My best friend's African, so I work with a lot of children as well in the African community when I do my workshops in specific schools. So that's why I kind of decided to adopt the braids for so many years as well. And that's something I do because I love that culture and because I'm a part of their culture as well. But no, I'm Sri Lankan.
Oh, that's beautiful. I think that's so great. I find that there isn't a lot of, brown people that do appreciate
Oh,
many that don't. So many sort of just, just keep in their own clan. And I think it's okay to spread and share out. Is my internet being funny right now? Because my internet's really, really bad. I'm so
it
sorry.
went for 10, I think about not even 10 seconds, like literally like 4.5 seconds or so. But
Oh my God. I'm so sorry. Our internet's just shocking.
it's Melbourne. It's like it drops out here and there.
Oh my God. I'm literally like dragging what is it? Telstra right now. Like Telstra needs to fix their game.
And I guess so many people are using Zoom nowadays because of quarantine as well. So
yes, exactly. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm turning off my phone.
No, all good. But
yeah, no, I think it's beautiful.
Sorry, I was just going to say, it kind of ties in with the second question I have for you because your background is Indian.
Yes, yeah, my background.
Dirty boy.
Fuck that bitch. One and only. Yeah, so I created that name. Honestly, it was I'm not going to claim that I came up with that name by myself. I actually was on Instagram one day and I had seen an account and it said Daisy Girl, and I'm like, oh my God, I had never thought about putting those two things together for an Instagram handle. And so I was like, well, I'm going to change my name, and I totally changed it, not knowing that it would become this thing that would identify me as my username. It's so crazy. It's become its own entity, I guess. Like my own brand has become Desi Boy, which is so cool. And so I think, I never created an Instagram to ever be influential, and I never created it to have an audience the way that it has become. It kind of happened organically, and it took a while. Honestly, it took about a good 3 years to get to where it is today. And I just let it grow, as it is. And if people liked the content that I was creating and it's resonated in some way, I think that was my true aim of like hopefully reaching out to brown people and the South Asian community, in terms of, just loving who they are and just supporting the culture and accepting one another in our community. And then it just grew to something of what it is now. Yeah.
And you are so monumentally famous on social media. Like people know you, people love you because not just because you're beautiful, like your makeup and attire is beautiful when you do those beautiful photo shoots, but it's the things that you speak about. Like you touch on the topics that so many people from the South Asian communities are so scared to address. And I think it's fabulous because you need to address it. Otherwise, there's so many people out there who want to speak up, but they don't feel comfortable or that they don't feel safe until someone else does. So I'm really glad that, you've done that as well. Yeah. Like you've really created an amazing audience as well. It's great.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
No, for those of you watching, make sure you check all of Roshan's details below. Click, watch, like, share, tell them. You have to share because some of the topics that you've covered are just amazing. And I was just going to say, like, off the top of your head, like, what are some of the other topics, like being from an Indian background, like what are like 2 or 3 other topics that you would really like, that you have addressed in your Instagram and other social media? I think really care about.
Yeah, no, I definitely, I have created videos about the gay community, particularly gay men, of my personal experiences. I've done a video about global change, like global warming, climate change, all of that sort of stuff, because I think it's a really important topic. After I had gone to the global climate protest march, I had seen the hypocrisy of it all, because while we were all there protesting for climate change and all of that, there were people literally littering on the streets and walking on plants and climbing trees, and I'm just like, these dickheads are literally out here literally preaching for climate change, and yet here they are stomping on plants and littering. And I'm like, this is why the government doesn't take this seriously, because they see footage of people just throwing garbage on the ground and then you tell them that they should take you seriously. So I felt so compelled to make a video about that. I'm very, very vocal about creating videos about the fairness industry and the Bollywood stars. I created a video Bollywood stars and basically talking about the hypocrisy. I created this video about exposing Bollywood stars, and which basically just exposing them about the hypocrisy of these Bollywood stars talking about that they don't endorse fairness products. But in the video that I showed, they literally do promote it, and they have promoted it. And then the interview, the journalist is like, oh, so, have you endorsed any of these types of products? And they flat out just say they haven't. So I think it's just so ridiculous. I caught them in their tracks. And I think that is the reason why the video blew up the way that it did.
Yeah.
And I think for me, living in the West, I don't have that sense of pressure of worrying about what people may think as much, as opposed to people who do live in the motherland. They know the people around them. The community is very tight, and what people's perceptions of you is a very scary thing, And for me, I could have easily gotten backlash of like a lot of people saying, oh, you don't live in India, what would you know? But I think I go about it I try to go about it in a very non-biased way and try and talk about these issues in a way that is general, but very personal as well. So we can relate to people. I try and never point the finger. I try and educate and inform people as much as I can. And I think that's why my videos and content may resonate.
Yeah, no, I think I watched that one. I mean, I've watched most of your videos, but that one definitely, I think it hits a sore spot for all South Asians, because we've all had, regardless of what skin tone we are, even if we are South Asian, we've had those comments and those pressures, and it's such an unhealthy mindset. And it just, the more people buy it, the industry just keeps going and going. And you were 100% right. I've seen some of those ads and some of those actors who've actually literally come out and said they haven't endorsed it. I'm like, screw you. We've seen those ads growing up. Oh my gosh. Like, how do you even lie to the camera?
Yeah, literally. Like, you're getting caught red-handed. And I was talking to one of my friends who's an influencer actually in India, in Mumbai. And he actually came out and spoke about Nika Beauty and how like they tried to make out they're very inclusive within the LGBT space, but they're not, and they don't promote their queer creators. And so I actually that kind of gave me a thought, and I was like, this is literally the reason why Indian brands don't reach out to me, and I get brands from America and the UK and Australia reaching out, is because I'm very vocal about Indian brands and the Indian and South Asian community of their fairness products and the way that they preach their beauty standards and everything. And I talk about how messed up it is. And I think that is the reason why I am not a very attractive content creator for their brand and how they want to promote their content and their products, because I talk about the real shit. And I'm like, well, it's no opportunity lost for me, because I don't want to support companies that have no moral compass. You're telling your audience that they're unattractive, that they're ugly, and they're not desirable because they are the color of their skin and the way that they're born is not good enough. And you're saying this is the beauty standard that we uphold. The Eurocentric, westernized, Anglo-Saxon lifestyle is more appealing, more attractive, and that's the way that you should go for. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but like that is just not acceptable. In 2020, we should not have this idea that white superiority complex is more better, and we should have to hold that standard. It's just so messed up. So that's probably why I'm not attractive in the eyes of these Indian brands, because I talk about it.
And with a lot of like South Asian countries, the more you speak the truth, the more you kind of get banished. And it's honestly
exiled.
It's happened to me because I'm very vocal, and I mean, I filter. Sometimes I say things politely, but harshly, brutally, honestly, and it's hard for people to handle. They say truth is the hardest pill to swallow, but it's so true. It's literally those fairness creams. It's literally a bottle of toxicity.
Yes.
Like figuratively and like literally, like all the shit that's in there. It's so dangerous for you as well.
I think living in the West as well, because we live in the West, we are like brought up with this more confident, more in your face kind of approach when it comes to our opinions. Where and I think that that is our, I guess, our, you know, Western side of us. You know, we have that opportunity to be more vocal. Whereas in us, if we were growing up in our South Asian environment in the motherland, we would be different people, and maybe we wouldn't be as vocal. And so I think it's an opportunity to use our voice the way we do, the upbringing that we've had, I think.
Yeah, no, 100%. And that applies to so many things. Like I get called out for being like a total bitch sometimes, and either people call me this nicest person in the world or a super bitch because I'm just very honest. And sometimes I found, and you said it perfectly, because people who have spent a lot of time living overseas in the South Asian countries, I'm not saying it's everyone, but I'm saying a lot of people, especially people that I've come across, it's very difficult to have open and honest conversations because they feel like they're being attacked, and they feel like the confrontational conversations. Sorry, I can't speak English today. Confrontational conversations are very difficult. Sorry, English is my
You illiterate bitch. Do you even understand English? Oh my God, you're actually the best. Oh my God. I literally like, I am like that when I'm typing. I am the worst speller imaginable, but you're so funny. Oh my God.
No, that's always my excuse. I'll say something backwards and people just look at me. And honestly, so many people ask me if I actually speak English, even though they can hear me speak. And I'm like, yes,
Literally just
my second language. I can't get my thoughts out in time.
Literally just use the immigrant excuse. I'm an immigrant. I'm not from here. Like
Oh gosh. I was gonna say, next question. So it's up to you how you want to answer this in terms of personally or professionally. Like, how's COVID-19 affected you? The whole quarantine and just the whole general situation.
yeah, I think the answer would be the same for everyone. For most people anyway. It in the beginning it was like, oh yay, freedom, right? But then it was, and then now it's almost like down the track. A few weeks in, I was just like, I actually fell into depression because I was really, really sad and down, and I didn't know where my life was taking me, and I still don't, to be quite honest with you. I think for a lot of us, it's this, humans are not good with equipped or with having the unknown, right? We want to know what's happening. And during this coronavirus, it just has thrown this huge ball of unknown. And because I have suffered depression and anxiety as well in the past, I do sometimes suffer at time and here and there sometimes. And so I had this period where I was just really down on myself. And one of my really close friends, she was just like, Roshan, get over yourself. Like literally everyone's in this moment. And I think we need those friends sometimes to tell us those things bluntly, because I did. I was like, wow, yeah, like I'm not the only one. There are millions of people that have it worse than me. I've got this beautiful bedroom. I'm safe. I'm sheltered. I have food every night. And then I see and hear stories about poor slum people in India who have to walk 50 to 100 kilometers or more without food, with their children on their hips and or whatever. And these parents have to just go without medical support or anything, and they are in a dire situation where they don't have any kind of support. And so I'm like, you need to, I think sometimes when we live in the West, we sort of think the littlest things that go wrong in our lives, we forget that is literally what it is. It's little, right? And for people who have it more worse than us, that is a huge critical problem. And not having water, not having shelter to go to is a really, and food to go to, it's really scary for those people. And so I had to self-evaluate and be like, well, I've got it pretty good, you know? And so I try to self-educate and understand and learn and watch documentaries and read up on what other people are going through. So it made me feel more like you haven't got it so bad, if that makes sense. So sometimes we have to speak to ourselves and be like, a reality check for ourselves, you know? But it is hard for everyone, whether you're privileged or not. It's throwing everyone a curveball that they're not used to, and people are dying whether you're privileged or not, and it is really sad and it's upsetting. And this whole year has just been like this terrible, terrible time for everybody. It's just everyone in general. So that's just been my experience, I guess. How's your experience been with this?
I kind of became unemployed overnight. So,
Yeah.
um, 4 years ago, I moved from the health industry to doing dance full time. I was always doing it part time, and then suddenly I was just like months and months of income just went because of all the gigs were cancelled, and thank God like classes we were able to do online. So, but then again, at the same time, it's not the same as going into a studio. Like I run classes every day, so I don't have this space to dance every day because hubby's working in this room from home.
Yeah.
So I literally had to cut down 7 days of classes to 2 evenings. So I mean, it's like you said before. There's too many people that are much worse off, and it is first world problems, but it did affect us a lot in that sense, business wise, work wise. And as someone who has anxiety, I thought, oh my God, I'm gonna spiral. But
Yes.
it wasn't. I actually didn't. I started to really just I think the last 1 year or so, I've been doing a lot of self work in terms of just dealing with my anxiety, and talking about it helps a lot too, on openly and honestly online, getting the message out there, and making sure other people don't feel afraid to speak up. So because of that, I think it's helped me to deal with this better, in the sense that I kind of just I just learned to lost my English again. Never mind.
It was so passionate. I loved it.
People know I can't speak English properly. It's just
You know what?
I basically just learned to just buckle up during this. I mean, I was very upset for about a week or so because of my whole business just took a huge hit. But then I thought, and so many of my family back home were much worse off. And I thought, you know what? I'm here, and everything's going to be okay. Hubby still got a job, and everything will be okay, because the main thing for us is, okay, we're healthy. We don't have the virus at the moment. So that's at the moment.
Yeah.
So that's the best thing. No, and I think honestly, like, it was just more that I started seeing the silver lining around it. I got to spend more time with hubby. I got more time with family. Even, the biggest downside for me was not being able to spend time with my parents. They live 30 minutes away, and my sister and her kids, they live 30 minutes away. Apart from that, it was just more, okay, I get to rest instead of working like 18-hour days, and recover from injuries and get my physical and mental health kind of balanced. So yeah, silver lining's always good. I'm kind of trying to embrace that as I get older.
No, I love that, and I agree with you. I think this whole pandemic has affected smaller businesses or self-made businesses and things like that, and it is scary because I mean, I know I was saying we should be grateful, but I mean, regardless of where you live, it is a hit, and it is a terrible time for people that they still have to get food on the table. There's a lot of one of my really good friends, she's a mom of 3 kids, and it's just like, she's a single mom, and it's just like, wow, like, you have to support yourself, you have to support your kids, and it's like, I don't know, how you're going to go without a job at the moment, and all that sort of stuff. So it is like, it's really hard for a lot of people, especially for women as well, and especially in terms of like domestic violence and things like that. It has risen during this time. So and for children. So it's not a good time for anybody. Let's just make that clear. Yeah.
I remember that was one of the first things I said to hubby, like when they did the first lockdown, the first round. And I remember saying to him, oh my God, there's going to be so many people stuck, not the way we're stuck. They're stuck in awful situations.
Yeah.
And stuck with people that they don't feel safe with. That was the first thought that went through my head, because I've experienced certain unpleasant experiences in life, and I just thought, oh my gosh, I cannot even imagine people having to go through that, because I mean, they didn't choose this. No one chose this just happened. Yeah. So hopefully it'll pass soon. Hopefully. But I was going to say, last question. You stand really strong. I mean, we've talked about this in the last couple of minutes over the podcast. Like, you stand very strong in terms of being your true, authentic self, and that's something I absolutely love. But what advice would you like to give to people, like especially the younger generation, in terms of being their authentic self, and just also people who are struggling with things such as gender, sexual preference, and also just their identity and confidence?
Yeah. Uh, well, I think just talking for the brown and South Asian community, I think it is so important for young brown kids to take the time to actually self-evaluate. Like, don't allow what people say about you or what they tell you should be, like, to heart as much. Like, go and really delve deep into yourself. Time of coronavirus is a perfect opportunity to do that and do research. Talk to different people that you trust. In terms of sexuality, I'm really blunt when it comes to this. I think there's no excuse for it anymore. Period. Like, when parents should hold themselves accountable, and young people should take the time to hold their parents accountable when it comes to accepting them for who they are. There's no space for it anymore. It's simple as that. And if your child is coming out to you and they're saying they're gay, or they maybe think that they're bisexual, or they're expressing themselves in a different way, or they're coming out to you and they don't really know what they are, give them the time and the sensibility to
Oh,
listen and take in. Don't whatever, an extended family, and tell everybody your child's business, because that is a form of bullying. That's a form of telling a child that, ridicule. It's just a form of ridicule. And I know that that's what a lot of older generation in our community do. And it's really unhealthy. It's really toxic. So if you've got to get real creative with it, create a pie chart, create a PowerPoint presentation, tell your parents, this is what it means to be gay. This is what it means to be trans. This is what it means to be a part of the LGBT community. Or if you are wanting to, date someone that is outside of your religion or outside of your creed or caste, we can't allow this to run anymore. If we want the older generation to understand young people, we can't sit back and complain that our parents don't understand us when we're not going to take the time to teach them.
100%.
So I think it's so important. But when it comes to like acceptance, talk to people and find people that are like-minded, and just stick with those people. And don't be with people that just are there for you now and won't be there for you for the hard times. Really indulge in the people that you surround yourself with, and really get to know them and see how they work and tick. And a real friend when they are with you and you can argue with them like a family member. And that is how I've grown up, knowing who my real friends are and who my real friends are not. Because you have to be able to argue with your friends or fight with your friends and come back to each other like you love each other in order to resolve conflict. Because if there's one little mishap, you can't just exit a friendship and then expect to create another friendship, and it's just not healthy. So really get to know people.
100% agree. And like, I second everything you just said. Like, you really do need to talk to people outside of your regular circle and the people that you connect with. It's exactly how you said it. And tick, tick, tick for everything. Honestly, I completely agree. Like, I'm so harsh on my students when it comes to just being who they are. And I'm always telling them, never, ever, 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 like, let yourself be anything other than who you are. And don't let anyone tell you who to be. Like, it's just, yeah, you need to nurture that from such a young age. And I think it's so important for parents. Like, sometimes I say this to parents and they give me that look like, hey, you don't have kids. And I'm like, yeah, but your kids come to me and talk to me about their problems. Are they coming to you? Like, it's really something like children need a
Yeah,
safe place.
exactly.
Yeah, like people need to feel safe in order to be themselves. And yeah, it starts from a young age, I think, honestly. But
Yeah.
you're 100% right. It is definitely the older generation, but I find, like, it depends on the mindset and the kind of people that they surround themselves with as well. And if they're
Yes.
not doing the self work in order to evolve their mindset and learn and educate themselves,
Yes.
um, they're not getting anywhere either.
That's so true. And for me, like growing up, like I think dance gave me a lot of confidence because it was a form of like self-expression, and doing Mohiniyattam and being around brown people and them just accepting me for the way that I was I think it helped me better understand myself as a kid and like have the passion and love for my culture and the way that I do today. So yeah, like, and I could go to my friends then and now. I think you're such a great role model for these kids, and I think it's so great that you teach those things to these kids, because it's not often that they get anyone that is a someone in power position of who looks like them and who understands them and who is willing to support them. And I think it's really great what you do, and also in the form of art as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, you have to, right? Like even the simplest of things, like I'll give you a small example. Like I'm from Brunswick, so I live near the city, and every
Bougie,
Thursday,
bougie.
the kebab world.
Oh, yeah. HSB.
Yeah, so I teach a class in Cranbourne, and I don't know if anyone's ever done the city to Cranbourne drive in peak hour and school time traffic. Sometimes it takes 2 hours, sometimes it takes 2.5. So I take my, touch up makeup and everything. I keep it in a bag. I go there, and when I get there, I sometimes have extra time. Kids start arriving early. So I'll start putting makeup on the girls and stuff. And sometimes the boys will come up and, they'll be like, oh, can you put some on me? And I'm like, of course I can. You get the glitter, not the girls. You get the glitter.
Love it.
And, sometimes the little girls in the past, they've said to me, how come you're putting makeup on boys? And I'm like, because he's a human and he wants to have makeup. It's his choice. And they just looked at me and they're like, they actually said, oh, that's lovely. Like they understood it. They got it because they're so innocent. And as long as they're not just filtering, like as long as they're not getting toxic messages from other sources, regardless of whether it's parents or relatives or their school teachers or school friends, like someone needs to be there to kind of tell them it's okay, whatever goes, it's their choice.
Yes.
It's love, and that's all that matters at the end of the day. No one gives a shit about anything else.
Yes. And I think it's because you are a teacher, and those kids really take to heart what you say, and because they look up to you. It's so special that you are empowering them to understand that everyone is a human and everyone expresses themselves the way that they choose. And that's so special. That's so beautiful. So you're making a true impact for those kids.
You gotta come and dance with us sometime.
Oh, yes, that would be so much fun. Like, I just miss dancing so much. Like, I just dance in my room now, but like, I really miss dance. I did dancing for like 14 years of my life. I did traditional dancing, I did tap dancing, I did jazz, contemporary hip hop, I did Broadway. I've even performed at Federation Square. It was like, I loved it. It was a huge part of my life.
You have so many years and so many varieties of experience. Don't lose sight of it. Like whether it's dancing in your room or dancing in the shower, just be careful. But dance, don't stop. Yes. You should never stop.
It's part of who I am. I think it's a part of being brown too. We're just very expressive people. We just love music. We just love dance. We just love to, be out there with our, with our expression. And so I think it's so cool that's why I fell in love with my culture as well, because dancing is such a huge part of what I love, which is dancing. So it's like, love it. Love dancing.
Now, hopefully once quarantine and everything settles down and we're back in the studios, please do come. Please.
Yes, of course.
But I was going to say, we've actually run out of time, but I've got like a couple of quick fun questions for you. So we do this at the end of every podcast. It's usually like a very quick 30-second word game. This one is basically finish the sentence. So you can answer it however you like. The first question, I think everyone's been thinking of this. When quarantine is over, we will travel to?
Probably the city. Literally, I can't travel. Literally, I have no money. So probably just the city.
No, this is all hypothetical questions. Like someone's put it.
Well then I'll probably, I'd love to go to France where my auntie and uncle live. So
France.
Yeah.
Auntie, uncle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so I would love to meet, can be a celebrity or a non-celebrity, doesn't matter.
I think honestly I've always wanted to meet this sounds so over the top, but like Oprah, because I think she's just so incredibly inspirational, and what she's overcome and what she's gone through is just exceptional. And Michelle, like Obama, like, oh my God, she's also another woman that is just absolutely incredible, and obviously Barack Obama as well. So I think those three figures are really, really special to me. So I'd love to meet them.
Very empowering people and very inspiring. I just love their authenticity. I love it, love it, love it. I would never leave my house without. It can be two or three things.
I'd probably just say like my phone. Like, isn't that all of us though? Like, I feel like, I mean, the killer is out there. We could die at any time. We need our phones. Like, let's be real.
If you already had your phone, what would be the other thing that you take? Apart from your phone charger as well.
Okay. So a bag. I'm a huge person. I'm a huge purse and a bag person. So like, I feel so naked without having a purse or a bag on me. It's this thing that I have. So yeah, bag, like any kind of bag I would have to have.
Okay, so this question well, maybe it's already happened to you, never know, but see how you go. You can name three things. So if you won $1 million tomorrow, what are the three things that you would do with that money?
Okay, I would first help India's toilet infrastructure. I would invest money into helping people. I would build help charities in India. It's basically just humanitarian work, but instead of making it about somebody who's coming from outside of India helping Indian people, I would want to empower Indian people to uplift their own people. So giving money into, companies or organizations that are going to empower the local people that are professionals in that craft, in terms of building, in terms of, water, food, all of that. So that's what I would do with that kind of money.
That's beautiful. That's really beautiful. Okay, last one. If you could make one law for society, what would it be?
Oh my God.
I would
honestly, I would make it it's kind of a law now, but I don't think it's implemented as much as it should be. I think racism, like any kind of form of racism, that is jail time or that is a criminal offense on the spot. Like if you see or hear anyone saying anything like that, it's just not acceptable, and that's community service time for you. Like I just think that those kinds of things are just not acceptable anymore, whether you're in higher position of power or just a regular school kid. You need to be held accountable for it. And so I think racism and holding people accountable and making that a high priority in the law system, I think that would be really beneficial.
Oh, I really, really hope that day comes. And I think you're right. It is in the, legislation, but then, it doesn't really have strict punishment for it. That's another thing. So I think as long as we have a strict punishment, or automatic punishment,
yes,
more immediate one rather than, we'll have your court hearing in like 2 years.
Because that takes up money, that takes up resources. If you hear it, it's blatant. You can tell. So just, you get community service time, buddy. Like you're not going to do that and thinking that's okay. And also in that process, I would recommend that they get racial counseling and education on why it is bad that they did. I think they get professional, instead of going through that justice system, get professionals who understand, human behavior and racial, disparity and racial discrimination to educate these people that have done the wrong thing. So then we're putting these people back into society who respect people. We're not punishing them, treating them like dogs, and then putting them back into society, and they're just going to do the same thing.
Exactly. 100%. And I think
educating and informing people in the process.
Education. Yeah. Oops, you froze for a second. Come back.
Yes.
Oh, there you are. I'm back. I did that and you were back.
I know. Back.
I was going to say that's actually all the time we have, but thank you so much for taking the time out of your evening. But make sure you check all Roshan's socials down below. Get in touch, and if you want to do a second round, let us know and we'll get in touch as well.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for this opportunity, and thank you for raising brown voices and young people's voices as well to express themselves and reach out that message that it's important to be yourself, and everybody is deserving of some sort of a platform. So thank you.
No, honestly, we need more people like you. We really do. We really, really do. But thank you so much. We will see you guys at the next podcast. Bye.
Thank you guys. Thank you for listening. Bye.